My name is Carrie Ann King, and I'd like to welcome you to Surface's Cutting System. Now, there are only 5 haircuts in the entire world. Trends are just exaggerations of those 5 core cuts. Through consultation, we define personal image, considering hair type, facial shape, and body structure. We then create a custom core cut for the perfect look. Working within the Surface system allows us creative freedom and enables recreation every time. Surface Cutting System shows you how to get there and what tools to use to get to your own creative image. The possibilities are absolutely endless. Now, we've taken your 5 basic haircuts and given them very exciting names. Your long, blunt, or solid form cut is now called the edge. Your long layers are freedom. A bob we now call windswept. Inverted lines or diagonal forwards are your front and center, and then short layers are your crop. Today I'm going to be teaching you windswept and front and center. Now let's start with our surface map and some surface terms. We're going to start with target parting, where you're actually going to use your comb for your part. And what you're going to do is place your finger where you want that part to end, and you take your comb and bring it to your finger. Your comb absolutely never leaves the head. Now, your high point you find by actually balancing the comb on the head. Where the comb balances is your high point. Your side and rear ridge is actually found by taking 2 combs. Your side ridge you place on the side of the head, the top of the head. When you put them together and the 2 combs meet, that's your side ridge. The same with your rear ridge and also for the top of the head and your high point. Your nape sectioning, you're going to either section horizontally for the edge free and then windswept, or you're going to section in an arc for your front and center. Now the crop is going to be detailed after the interior is cut. Now always section directionally with the end result in mind. So remember, always also cut with the end result in mind. Cut in the direction you want the hair to move. So if you're doing your windswept, you want the hair to move forward, so you're going to cut both towards the face. Short hair also pushes long hair away, so if you have shorter layers underneath longer hair, it's going to give you volume. Now the perimeter of the hair, you actually have the inner perimeter, which if you have the head upside down, all this hair within here is your inner perimeter. Your outside perimeter is where the hair falls. Your interior is actually inside the perimeter, so it's all this hair here. Your outer perimeter has actually 2 cutting options, which is beveling, where you can take your razor and bevel the hair under to make it scoop under, or bevel the hair out, which will actually make it flip out. And then we have swing cutting, which you're cutting side to side in the direction that you want the hair to go. Now your inner perimeter is all of your layers, and this is where you're going to start with your black zone. You're going to cut your layer in your black zone, and then you actually connect the black to the green. These are going to be all your inner perimeter layers. Then you're going to connect those layers to your red and green zone. You can have descending layers, which are cut descending. This is going to collapse into the jaw and give you kind of that Jennifer Aniston look. You have progressive layers that come out longer, and that actually leaves a nice weight at the bottom. And then your concave layers, where you come in to the head and then out. This is your new rock star haircut that I love so much. Our surface tools, we have our surface shears, which are our swivel shears. You're going to use your shears when you want a hard, blunt line. The other thing, your thumb never goes past your nail bed, and your ring finger is never past your first knuckle. Your thumb is always the one that creates the movement. With your razor, you're going to be able to create flowing, light layers. The blade does have a light bend in it. It's completely balanced, and it has a silicone guard opposed to a metal one, so there'll be no scraping of the hair also. You're going to be able to shatter with this to get a nice, soft line. So with a deep shatter, where you really come into that hair and shatter from within, you're going to eliminate a ton of weight. For finer hair, you want to do a much lighter shatter to leave more weight. You need to know what tools to use when. Now, we have different design techniques. We have horizontal framing, where you actually pull the hair upward, and then you're going to frame underneath by shattering. Remember that those shorter layers underneath longer are going to give you volume. We've got vertical framing, where you pull the hair up and you're going to actually cause separation by using the tip of your razor. Sculpting, you pinch a section and then you use your razor on both sides to give that piecey separation. So we also have piecing, where you're going to use your razor in a downward movement or downward strokes, and that's just going to remove any weight and also create separation. We have upward blending, which I'm going to show you on our front and center. We're actually going to hold the hair up vertically with a razor, and you're just going to remove any interior weight. We have weave cutting, which I will also show you with our haircut, where you weave into the hair and you remove from that top layer. That just gets rid of any weight, gives you separation also. Your pinwheel, where you start from the center point, and then you just use your razor lightly to take some weight out. That's going to give you what's called invisible layers. Great for people with really long, fine hair. Gives you that volume on top that they really want. And then also blocking the shears. With blocking the shears, you're going to use that for blending. And what you're going to do is you're going to follow your finger flow and just keep moving your thumb as you go and actually block those shears out. Some other surface movement. You heard me say finger flow. What finger flow is from the head out. So if you actually bring your fingers out and pull the hair, you're following your finger flow, which is going to create layers and leave more length. The closer you bring those fingers to the head, the shorter the hair is going to be, the more length that's going to be lost. Finger angle, adjust the movement at the ends, again, so you can either flip out, or you can pull them in, you can have them flip under. Over direction, that's pulling the hair from the opposite direction to give more weight and length in the opposite direction. So if you pull forward, the length will be shorter in the front and longer in the back. And then elevation, just bringing that hair up and elevating it creates a softer outer weight line. So we'll also do that with our front and center. Now, rules for face shape. We want to remember that parallel lines create closeness and they attract face. So someone that has straight, parted down the middle hair, blunt line, straight cross bangs, their focal point is going to be the center of the face or the nose. Not a lot of people can get away with that. Also, straight cross bangs is going to create a line so that the face is shorter. Perimeter lines draw the eye in the direction of the line flow. So if you have someone with a really pronounced chin, by giving that a diagonal angle, you're actually making the chin longer. If you take off that corner and keep it a parallel line, it's going to soften the chin. And balancing the features, we have to remember that space creates lift. So someone that has maybe an eye that's bigger on one side and smaller on the other, you might want to open up that smaller eye and create some lift there so there's more balance with the feature. All right, now let's cut some hair. Okay, we're going to start with the front and center. This is Jasmine, my model today. Now remember, with the front and center, we're going to start at the nape of the neck, and we're actually going to do arc parting. So at first, let's section out our hair. Doing the side ridge. Your back ridge. And behind the ear. And the ear. Split the back section right down the middle. Now here, depending on where you do your arc parting is going to determine how much inversion is created in the haircut. The higher the arc parting, the more inversion you're going to have. We're going to take it a little bit lower because Jasmine only likes a little bit of inversion and only likes a little bit of that stack in the back. So we're going to go right below the occipital bone. Remembering our target parting, the comb never leaves the head, bringing the comb to your finger. We're going to divide this section into 5 different vertical partings, starting with the middle, 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5. Remembering to slightly over direct in the red zone. We don't want to create a hole where that ear is. So we're going to start with our razor in our middle section. Vertical parting starting at the center, and we're going to do descending layers using a traveling guide. So we'll bring that right in close to the head. And then move over to section 2. Standing right behind where we're coming. Section 3 on the opposite side of the center. Using your traveling guide. 4, we're into that red zone, so remember to slightly over direct. And then our last is 5, again in the red zone, so slightly over directing. So descending layers, bring that hand close to the head. So now we're actually going to do our perimeter. I'm going to do it nice and shatter the ends because I want to have a nice soft line there. If you want to have a harder, blunter line, you can use your shears in order to create that line. Okay, now we're going to continue up. Remember using our arc parting, so I'm going to take this right to the back of the ear. So this next section, we're actually going to bevel the inner perimeter using that top layer as your guide. We're going to bevel that section out. Remember to only take as much as your first 2 knuckles. And then from there, we're going to swing cut, walking around the head in the direction we want the hair to move, slightly elevating. By keeping that razor underneath and beveling, we're going to make that hair keep under. Okay, next section, we're going to be above the ear, so we're going to be treating the head as a whole. Remember that target parting, the comb or the clip never leaves the head. At the beginning, we're doubling, finding our guide, doubling underneath that first section, and then swing cutting to each side. Section. The last section we're going to drop down. There's not going to be much left here. Again, starting in that center section, beveling under, and then swing cutting in the direction we want the hair to go. Other side. We'll drop that last section, parting, side streaming the part cut, letting the hair fall as it lays naturally. Center section, then swing cutting to the side. We can use those two front pieces on the cheater side. On the side. Okay. Now we are going to upblend a little bit through the back, just so to kind of get rid of that weight line. We're just lifting those sections so there's no weight line. Great for men's haircuts also. And we're going to frame out that black zone, which remember is right here. And that's going to create the volume right in the crown that everybody wants. Everybody needs volume back here. That black zone. You're only going to take the width of your razor. And slightly shatter. We're going to do this in two sections. See where the bend of the hair is. See how that hair is bending. Start right there and shatter up there. And we want to take the diagonal side and shatter up the hair. Bending, shatter up the hair. And Now, any places that are heavy, we can go in and do what's called weave cutting. Jasmine's a little bit heavier on this side, so she does part to this side. So we're going to give her some separation. Coming in and just you're going to weave into the hair and then take from the upper part. So you can actually, if you wanted to, weave in. You could even just drop that whole bottom section. So just so any face framing that we want to do. I'm going to frame this in. You would start maybe at the eye or the cheek or the lip bone, depending on where you want it to accentuate. I like how this line is bringing down to Jasmine's jawline, making it a little bit stronger. I am going to bring her some fringe though. So your fringe always starts in that little triangular section. You're going to go from your side ridge to your side ridge. Now these can be as deep if you wanted a really heavy bang. You could start way back here, even to the high point of the head, or if she doesn't want so much. We'll stay in close, but still staying in that triangle. So I'm going to come in close to the eye, and then slide over, giving her a side swooping down. All right, I'm going to style her. We'll come back to the end results, and then we will move on to windswept. Okay, so we have Jasmine all blow dried and styled. Again, we'll recap the front and center. We actually start in the nape with an arc parting. Depending on how high you want that inversion line to be is how high your arc starts. You're going to do vertical parting, 5 sections starting in the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remembering your red zone. You want to slightly over direct in order to keep from creating that hole there. You're going to do descending layers, keeping the finger flow close to the head. Then you cut your perimeter line. Bevel your inner perimeter starting at the center and using that top layer as your guide. Then you're going to swing cut, walking around the head to cut your side. Up blend, leaving that top corner. Then you're going to frame in your black zone to add some volume, and then weave cut to get your pieciness and separation. I used jump on Jasmine's root to give her some lift. I also used the crave to give her some pieciness and texture, and then we finished off with some theory spray. That nice inversion she has in the back, that line coming down through, tons of volume on the top. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Now we'll be moving on to windswept. All right, now we're going to move on to the haircut called windswept. Now, windswept is your bob or a horizontal line worn anywhere from the shoulder above. Your target parting is going to be horizontal parts at the nape, and you're going to have them lay right as they lift. So we're going to start with our sectioning, and remember your target parting. You're going to do your side ridge, and back ridge. Nice, clean, even parts. Section that out, and behind the ear, bringing the comb to the finger, section that back. On the other side. Deborah's a little short, so I'm going to have to kneel down to do this. straight down the center, and then we're going to take a horizontal part. Targeting parting, bringing that comb right to the finger. The comb never leaves the head. And two, your finger, comb never leaves the head. We're going to start by directionally cutting away from our guide. And we're going to start with a nice blunt edge standing directly behind our guest. Start from the center. We're going to just above the shoulders, let the hair fly as it lives, and cutting away from our guide. We're going to flip our shears again, and cutting away from our guide. Okay. Now we're going to bring down our next section, and this time we're going to move to our razor, creating a softer line. We're going to shatter to just below our guideline. So we're going to leave it just a little bit longer. Target parting, bring in that clip. I'm just going to straight her down a little bit. Combing this down. Starting from the middle. Blade flat against the hair. We're going to turn it and bevel just a little. Shatter that off. Bringing over directing that red zone a little bit. Blade flat to the hair. And shattering it down. Moving to our next section. Shattering down. This next section, we're going to be above the ear, so we're going to actually treat the head as a whole. We take that section just above the ear, bring that right to our finger. Using our clip. Place our finger and then bring that clip right to the finger, never leaving the head. We're still going to section behind that ear. Move the sides out for last. Standing directly behind our guest, directly behind where we're cutting. Blade flat against the hair. Shatter that edge. Shatter. Bringing that red zone. Over directing a little bit. Shatter that down. Same with this side. Only take as much as you can between those two knuckles. Over directing that red zone. Shatter it down. Now we're going to move to the side, and when we do, we're going to place our body right to the side, right directly behind where we're going to cut. We started our perimeter with our shears, so we're going to do the same on this side, letting the hair lay as it naturally falls. Starting our perimeter line with our shears for a nice blunt edge. Turning in the direction that we want the hair to go. Opposite side. With our shears, flipping the shears, and as the hair naturally falls. We use that front section. Take your cheater's guide, pull those two to the front. That's the same. Looking good. We're going to drop down our next section and go back to our razor. Right to our finger. There's not much left at this point. Directly behind her, starting from the center, doubling her in a little bit, shut it off. The next side, side, out top through, maybe flat against the hair, shadow through. And moving directly to the side. We're going to dabble just a little bit longer. Dabble in, and just shadow that edge. Moving to her opposite side. Obviously, my body would be moving, not hers. Shadow that. Shadow. We're going to drop our last section. And I have a little protein cream in here also, just as my cutting guide, my cutting lotion. We're going to comb this as it would fall naturally. Give her a little side part. Here, target parting. Here. Okay. Again, starting from the center, slightly doubling that under and shadowing. And shadowing. Over-directing the red zone slightly so there's no hole there. You remember red means stop. These are our zones we want to use caution. And to the side. 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 Now, if you slightly elevated this, it would leave a little softness to the edge and give you a slight graduation. If you pull this out, that will give you a little bit of graduation. And shatter. Okay. So now we're going to move to our black zone. We're going to frame that, because remember, smaller, shorter, under, longer creates volume and lift. We want lift in that black zone, only taking as wide as our razor. See where the bend in that hair is? And just shatter up. Next section. The bend is and shatter up. Next section. Another target parting. Lazy flat and then shatter up. Now we're just going to take those corners. Same your black zone. The diagonal parting. And shatter up. This side. Parting. Moving knuckles over to the second knuckle. Okay, now we're going to do any of our face framing and creating fringe. So for Deborah, I'm going to start her framing right at her cheekbone. Really accentuate those cheekbones. I'm going to come in and then out. Nice little frame in there. I'm going to pull that fringe aside. And do the same on this side. That way, if she decides to wear her fringe out of her face, she'll still have that nice same angle starting at the cheekbone. Almost like a question mark. Actually, quite like a question mark. And Deborah today has some sparkle magic going on in her hair. Okay, I'm going to take a nice, deep fringe for Deborah. We're going to start that right at the corner of her eye. Again, in, and then all the way out. Nice side fringe. Just a little bit more of that. And then if we want to really create some lift in there, actually go underneath the fringe. See where that bend is. You're going to start with your comb under, comb, razor, and then when you get comfortable, flip that razor up. And that's just going to create a nice little lift in the fringe. Now, our windswept. I'm going to style her, and I'll show you the finished product, and we'll recap what we just did. So this is our final result of windswept. Windswept is a horizontal line worn shoulders or above. We started with target parting at the nape of the neck. We started with horizontal parting. Starting from the center, we cut our guide, and then cut directionally away from our guide. Then we brought down the neck section slightly longer than our original guide, and we shattered that section with our razor. We then took our red zone and over-directed slightly, pulling it in so we had no holes in with the ears. Once we got above the ears, we treated the head as a whole. Cut those sections with our razor, shattering and beveling slightly under. Brought the hair forward in the front as our cheater's guide to make sure that they were nice and even. Continued cutting directionally forward in the direction we wanted the hair to go. We then framed our black zone, creating nice lift at the crown of the head. We cut in our fringe to our face. Pulled back the fringe, framed the face, and made sure that the layers on both sides will match and will be even in case you want to pin this back. If we wanted to, we could have beveled this out and made the hair flip out. And we could have also slightly elevated it, creating a softer line at the bottom. So the surface cutting system is 5 core cuts with infinite possibilities. We created the roadmap and gave you the tools to use. Now it's time to just use your creativity and your imagination. Thank you.